And I know this is the time you've been waiting for. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana. We're saying good afternoon to you, Ghana. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana once again. My name is Aldo Moro. It's a pleasure coming your way. Nice day, nice weather, but we're not necessarily excited because Ghana is still battling with the canker of child labor. So good afternoon, Ghana today is not happy because Ghana is still battling with the issue of child labor. I mean, we're talking child labor where people are forced or children are exploited to do all kinds of jobs because really and truly they don't really have any option. And they're made to do all kinds of jobs that in a way that deprives them of their regular and normal way of coming up as human beings. But the good news, though, is that there's actually an accelerated action plan which has been developed, or which has been crafted to deal with the issue of child labor. This afternoon, we're going to be looking at that action plan, and we all must be excited about that. We have a strategic plan to deal with the issue of child labor. My name, once again, is Aldo Moro. When I come back, I'll be introducing the persons or guest or resource persons who have the know-how about what this action plan is all about, and they intend to share them with all of us. So stay tuned in. All right, welcome back. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana. Good Afternoon, Ghana this afternoon is looking at the menace of child and forced labor. Yesterday, there was an action plan, a strategic action plan, which was launched by the Minister of Employment and Labor in collaboration with other state agencies to basically figure out how to deal with this and deal with this comprehensively. So this afternoon, Good Afternoon, Ghana is going to be looking at, first of all, when we talk about child labor, what are we referring to? Why must we be concerned that it's child labor? What is this action plan to deal with it? What timelines, for instance, are we giving ourselves to make sure that, by the time we're done, we probably would have eradicated to its barest minimum the problem of child labor? We are concerned because it could be me, it could be you. So joining me in the studio this afternoon to talk about this all-important subject matter is Benis Butchie. Benis Butchie is a senior officer, Gender and International Affairs, Minerals Commission. Benis, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
Typically here on Good Afternoon Ghana, we talk a lot more about politics. I mean, because the thing about it is politics drives almost everything we do, not just in Ghana, but also in Africa.
Yeah.
But when my production team said we're going to talk about this, well, that sounds quite interesting because it's, politics is important, but it's also very important.
Very, very important.
Yeah, very important.
Our future leaders.
When I was sending the flyers around, some of my colleagues said, "Oh, today no politics." I said, "No, but this one too is important."
Very, very important.
Issa Mushin is a principal labor officer, Labor Department. Good afternoon, sir. Afternoon. It's good to have you on Good Afternoon Ghana.
Thank you.
Is this the first time here on the show?
No.
Yeah?
We were here last year.
You were here last year.
Good Afternoon Ghana. I mean, this is our first time.
This is our first time.
Yes.
But Metro, you've been
Yes,
this is the second time
Yes.
you're coming to Metro.
Yes.
I see. Well, you won't regret it. Good Afternoon Ghana is it's a fantastic platform. And I'm happy that you are here to talk about this very important subject matter of child labor. So we're looking at tackling child labor, and we're trying to unpack the Ghana Accelerated Action Plan, which was launched yesterday. Who do I start with? First of all, I found your title a bit interesting, and we're talking about it off air. So you are the Senior Officer, Gender and International Affairs, Minerals Commission. Oftentimes when we hear about child labor, the narrative is always referring to kids or children who are doing stuff within the cocoa sector space. Then now we're here in Minerals Commission, and I'm trying to find out what's happening. Galamsey.
Exactly.
Oh, they are moving there.
Exactly.
The kids are being asked to do all kinds of things.
They love it.
On the Galamsey site.
Yes.
Really?
They are fetching a lot of money. So.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean,
because we actually heard that a lot of the people who own these cocoa farms are actually selling these cocoa farms to these Galamsey guys for them to exploit it and so on. And now we're beginning to see a certain movement even in terms of the kids who are being exploited on these cocoa farms now are being exploited on the mining sites.
In this respect, some children voluntarily put themselves into that.
Oh, they like it.
They like it.
They want to do it.
It's quick.
Also, because they can make money and send it to
Quickly.
their parents.
to support parents, unemployed parents, let me put it that way.
Yes, yes. Or greedy parents.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I mean,
Well,
in some cases they are greedy.
yeah. Some,
oftentimes
unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Some are. I mean, we have categories.
So
of
is that the
parents.
reason why the Minerals Commission has created this desk?
Exactly? That's
What's the name of the
it's
desk
one
again?
of the reasons.
What's the
It's
name of
one
the desk again?
Gender and International Affairs.
When was it set up?
2019.
I see.
Yeah.
That was when you realized it was a
There
certain
were a
movement.
lot of reports, a lot of backlashes. There were a lot of reports about Galamsey and how Minerals Commission wasn't doing much about it. So management sat through. We did a number of surveys. We
Okay.
realized this is true. Like,
I see.
we really need to set up. So the DEX was set up with roles. We are about 4. In that unit, and
Okay.
it's been great.
I see.
Going to the field and seeing for ourselves what's actually
Right.
going
Now,
on.
let me also say this. Now, this is Good Afternoon Ghana. Here on Good Afternoon Ghana, as you do know, we like to touch on issues that are developing, issues that are running, so current affairs. So my, indefatigable, hardworking producer, Josiah Topper, tells me that there's some development in Parliament. So it depends on how things go. We may have to quickly cross to Parliament and get to know what's happening in Parliament. It won't take much time, 5 minutes maximum, we should be done. So we can come back in-house and have this big conversation. Now, what is happening in Parliament? I can just summarize. The MPP is undergoing some reforms. So a campaign team has been introduced. Just, I think, a few days ago, the General Secretary launched it and unveiled the campaign team. Then we're told that at that meeting, there was also hints that there's going to be some shake-up there's going to be some shake-up within the majority side, the leadership of the majority in Parliament. And here we're told that the deputy majority leader is going to be made the majority leader, and there's going to be some other appointments. But I'm told that the current majority leader, that's the MP for Swami, or Chairman Sabonso, is resisting any attempts by the party leadership to do any form of shake-up. And there are some reasons. I'm not going to disclose that reason here. But we also do know the rumor mill actually had it that the majority leader was initially penciled or was initially considered the foreign minister as part of the reshufflement or the reshuffle, how do you call it, that was happening, or that's just happened. That hasn't happened yet. So perhaps the majority leader is saying that, look, if you are not making me foreign affairs minister, then I'm not moving an inch as the majority leader. So all kinds of things happen in Parliament. In fact, as we speak, the leadership of the majority are meeting the president. There's a very, very crucial meeting that is happening as we speak in Jubilee House. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. So depending on how things go, we may have to either cross to Parliament or cross to Jubilee House to bring you the latest update on what's happening there. But for now, we're talking about child labor. Ms. Butchie, Mrs. or Ms. Butchie? Mrs. Butchie. For me, it was quite interesting when you said the movement or the focus is now within the extractive sector. And here we're talking about Galamsey. Now, you're saying that the children themselves are willingly, some of them are willingly saying that, look, they want to do it because it's quick cash, it's better cash, they need to go and support family. So then for me, that begs the question, when we talk about child labor, what are we referring to?
Good. Thank you very much for the question. So child labor, so generally child labor, it's any work you give a child that impedes that child's development.
Okay.
Takes him from school.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Denies him of his rights. That is termed as child labor.
Right.
A child must grow freely.
Right.
Play with his, peers, go to school. Have care and attention.
Okay.
And body-wise develop properly, mentally, and psychologically.
Okay.
So anything that
impedes it,
it's child labor.
It's child labor. Sir, what's the difference between forced labor and child labor? Because I noticed you use both.
Yeah.
In your write-ups. Is there any difference?
Well, there's difference.
Okay.
In a child labor situation, you can actually fall a victim as a forced labor.
Okay.
Normally with forced labor, the distinction here is it looks at two main issues: involuntariness and then menace of penalty.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so, if you look at child labor, it's something that can easily be corrected, but it's difficult to identify forced labor because of how it is hidden and the processes you need to go through to identify forced labor. That's the extreme end.
Okay, of child labor.
Yes,
Yes.
It's one of the worst forms
I see.
West
of
Farms, yes.
child labor.
So hold on. So the child who decides that there's no money in the cocoa sector, I want to go to the extractive sector and go and join my galamsey folks who do galamsey,
Yeah.
so I can make more money. He is willingly doing this.
Yes.
So for a child who is willingly do this, where does he fall? Forced labor, child labor, or happy labor? Did you get a point?
No,
I'm making?
it's a bit tricky.
Okay,
Because forced labor has the permission of parents.
good.
Okay.
Oh, forced labor.
Yes. So the parents takes a job,
Uh-huh.
and the child has no choice than to join the parents, execute the work,
Oh,
and get paid for.
okay, okay.
Sometimes they don't get paid the amount promised.
Right.
Sometimes they are threatened
Okay.
if they insist on
No,
leaving.
but if parents send their child to say the cocoa farm,
Exactly.
and why should the parent pay the child
I mean, so
in cases like that?
the owner says, work for 8 hours.
Okay.
I'll pay you, let's
X
say,
amount of money.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, the child needs to know if I'm getting something out of it.
Even though
For school.
for school,
Right.
So even
For-
though they're
for
doing it with
uniform.
even though they're doing it with their parents.
Exactly.
Okay, so okay, here's the thing. Oftentimes, the cocoa farms do not belong to their parents.
Sometimes.
The parents are working for somebody,
For somebody.
but then they're assisting their parents
Exactly.
to do the work.
To do the work.
So the child naturally expects that because I'm helping mommy, daddy to do this work.
Exactly.
I
My
must-
fee should be able to be, my fee should be paid.
Okay,
I should get new school uniform. Boots
Some
or
benefits.
shoes. Exactly.
I
Right?
see.
So the child has no choice
Okay,
than to work.
okay,
Because you don't work,
yeah.
you don't get any, help
get nothing.
or attention from it.
Yes,
I
see.
think
So
Isa
sorry,
wants
Isa-
to
Isa-
add
sorry.
more.
I think
We've hijacked it. Sorry.
I think
Yeah,
when
but you get a question I asked.
Yes.
Yes, when you're talking about forced labor, you need to understand the various components that it comes with. We are talking about involuntariness, and has the person willingly offered him or herself
Yeah.
for the job? Or if so, is there anything that is keeping the person at the job?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, with a force or with some threats?
Yeah.
Now, when you have these two issues coming together, we can say the person is in a forced labor situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, when it comes to children, whether they have consented to it or not, it's a no-go area.
It's still child labor.
It's
Yeah.
forced labor completely. I mean, we are talking about forced labor.
I see.
Yes, forced labor of children. We have that one
Okay.
because forced labor cuts across all ages.
Right.
It's not only children.
Right.
But if you want to limit it to children, we have forced labor of children.
Okay.
In that aspect, we are just looking at the age segregation that will give you that these are children who are forced to work. And there are circumstances that...
Never mind whether the child is happy to do it or not. That's inconsequential. That's
Yes,
immaterial.
yes. It doesn't really... Even if there was a consent,
Okay. By the
it's
child.
invalid, yes. Once it is...
Less than 18 years.
Because it is assumed that the child is not old enough
Two.
to be able to
Execute
think
that.
for themselves.
Exactly.
And that's where you parents you come in.
Exactly.
So don't exploit that child's inability to think for
Exactly.
themselves.
To think for themselves.
Okay, so that's why willingness or happy to do the thing. That's
Yes,
not,
in fact, there was a
cannot be an
study,
excuse.
yeah, there was a study conducted by ILO, 2016 and updated in 2018, and they came out with some indicators of forced labor.
Okay.
And one of the indicators is talking about at birth, you know, a parent
Okay.
in forced labor and giving birth to a child. The indicator says that the child is also in forced labor.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
And there are quite a number of them. Some talks about how individuals are not given some form of workplace information. For example, working long hours, you are getting low pay.
The condition.
You know, we have minimum, let's use the minimum wage issue, for example. People are getting paid below the minimum wage.
Yeah.
And they don't rest. They do overtime. They are not paid. all these things are elements of forced labor.
See.
However, there's a caveat in all of these things. Sometimes you can be threatened to stay on the job.
You mean the child can be threatened?
Yes, not only child, but
Oh,
an
yeah, the
adult too.
parents,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
The victim.
Yes,
Yeah,
the victim can be threatened not to leave.
Okay.
And they can use other issues. For example, debt manipulation. You know, sometimes before some people get some jobs, they can borrow money to do some other facilitations, or even from the one recruiting them. At the end of the day, they have to pay back that kind of a loan. And they can easily manipulate the debt because you don't know how much is accruing in terms of interest. So they'll tell you, oh, you paid this, it's left with this. And as you are paying, it's a way to keep you on the job and to exploit you.
I see. It's
But
a trap.
Yes.
It's a
But
trap.
at the end of the day, are you able to walk out freely from the work, you know, or the job that you are doing? If you can,
Anytime.
it means that forced labor may not necessarily apply.
Oh,
You have the opportunity to leave.
right.
But where there are restrictions and you are not able to leave and you are being exploited, threatened against your will,
Yes.
then we are talking about forced labor.
Interesting. I think that the definition you have both given, I think suffices. So we're going to make progress because now we know what child labor is, but we need to deal with it because it's bad. That's what I think. Bottom line, that's the whole matter. But to deal with it, you've got to have a plan and a comprehensive plan. You launched it yesterday. Before the launch, I'm told there was something called a National Action Plan, but now it's called a Ghana Accelerated Action Plan against Child Labor, isn't it?
Yes.
So tell me why you decided, first of all, why did it have to take us this long for us to come up with a plan? And what is this plan about, really? How do you convince us that this plan, it's going to do the magic? This is the plan that's going to deal with this matter comprehensively. So 2 questions in one.
Yes. In fact, we've always had a plan.
Right.
We had a NPA 1
Yeah,
and 2.
Right.
With the experience that we got from the 1 and the 2 in terms of implementation,
Okay.
we had to shift our focus.
Okay.
And by so doing, we decided to title this one Ghana Accelerated Action Plan.
2.
So
3.
3. This one is a 3.
Oh, this is 3.
Yeah.
Yes, but we changed it. In the first ones, we had National Action Plan,
Yes.
which is just the NPA.
Okay.
But then this one, we need to accelerate, given the experience we had with the first and second.
Is it because
NPAs.
you notice that the plan, the 1 and 2, is not working as effectively as you want to? You want
Of
it
course, there have been challenges, even
There have
though
been
we have
challenges.
made some progress.
Okay.
There have been some challenges. And based on the challenges, we think that this new accelerated plan would help us achieve the goals that we have set in it. And in fact, if you look at it carefully, it's between 2023 and 2027.
Yes. 5 years, isn't it?
Yes, and in it, we have expanded the objectives.
Great.
The
I like how you started. You started with telling us about the scope of the objectives. So you've expanded it. I'll take a short break. When I come back, we're going to be listening to our resource persons tell us what this national accelerated or Ghana Accelerated the Ghana Accelerated Action Plan against child labor is all about. And I need to pay attention. This is extremely important because child labor, we all agree, is bad. We need to nip it in the bud. And so I'll be right back. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana. All right, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. This is Good Afternoon Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moro. This afternoon, we're looking at child labor or forced labor. And I have my resource persons who are here to walk us through a comprehensive plan which has been drafted and which has been launched yesterday to deal with the issue of child labor, and they're here, and that's what we've been talking about. But anyway, so let me just say that I have Bernice Buttre. Bernice Buttre is with the Minerals Commission, and the reason why she's here, she tells us, because that's where, that's where the action is happening now. It's no more the cocoa farms, or the kids, they say they don't like cocoa farms. There's nothing there. They're now moving to the extractive sector, and that's why she's here to tell us about that. And also, there's Issa Mumin. Now, Issa Mumin is with the Labor Department. Sorry, Issa Mushin is with the Labor Department of the The Labor Department is
Ministry of Employment.
Ministry of Employment and Labor. Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're talking about here. So, Isa, you were talking to us about the content of this action plan and why you think it's important for us to learn about the content of this action plan. So what is it about? You said, first of all, the objectives have been...
Yes. If you look at how it has been structured,
Okay.
it's taken into consideration the various mandates of state agencies, for example,
Okay.
and to look at how they are supposed to implement, let's say, in general, social protection or children's issues. Now, when it comes to labor, work, the Ministry of Employment is the lead agency
Right.
that is coordinating all these things. And we have other ministries like gender, like interior, Ministry of Agric. All of them are captured in this document. And they have specific activities that they're supposed to carry out per their mandate.
Okay.
And if you look at the objectives carefully, each objective, we identify stakeholders or institutions that can actually undertake those activities.
Okay.
And we have lead agencies and we have collaborating agencies
Okay.
that they can collaborate with. And this one, private sector is also part of it. They're all part of the development of this document. And it's important we align whatever achievement that we want to get in terms of the impact of child labor, so that all stakeholders will be aligned to one, cause. Otherwise, if we have each institution or individuals doing their own things, we will not be able to get the real impact. But this one has been accepted, and there are various activities that we'll be working even with private sector to be able to achieve the main purpose of which it has been developed. And I was talking about the objectives being expanded. The previous one had 4 objectives, but this one, there are about 6 objectives.
Okay.
We are looking at institutional capacity. We need to build their capacity to be able to carry out some of this. And this one is the Ministry of Employment that is leading in this. But we need to collaborate with other ministries to be able to do that. And if you look at the structure, we are using the local government service structure, national, regional, metro or district level, and the community. And so for a moment, this is what it seeks to achieve. And so the Ministry of Local Government is also an important institution when it comes to implementation of this Ghana as Related Action Plan against child labor. And so you would find at the various levels, we have structures in place.
Okay.
We have the National Committee on Child Labor, and we have the regional, we have the district or the metro, and then we have the community. All these levels, because of the structure we are using, they have a role to play. You can't go to the community without necessarily passing through the region and then passing through the district or the metro.
True.
And so these are coordinated efforts. And the national cannot do everything down there. So we can always sit back and then allow the districts to take charge. Actually, they are going to take charge of this. There's another document, a policy, not a direct policy in itself, but trying to complement this is the child labor free zone, which is also my colleague here is having.
Okay. So what is it? Is it what?
It's to complement
protocols for establishing
Child
labor free zones.
Protocols for establishing child labor free zones.
Yes.
You tell me about it.
It's an integral part of this document.
Okay.
What it seeks to do, maybe briefly, is
That's
that
fine.
we are looking at a zone. So if a partner goes to a particular district to implement child labor programs, they would have identified an area, a geographical area. That is a number of communities will form that area. And based on whatever they will do, there are some parameters that are set that they need to follow. And at the end of the day, the district will be able to call for assessment. And when they call for assessment, then the national level will then go, do the assessment, but they have the opportunity to do self-assessment before calling for the national assessment.
Okay.
And that, when they pass, we have some parameters set. We have some 90%, 80, and all that. Depending on where they fall, that zone, geographical zone, can be termed child labor free.
Okay.
And it will be a plus for the district, because now they are talking about certification of our cocoa products and all that. And so this is going to enhance all these processes.
Okay.
And because of due diligence approach, now they are applying on the supply chain of all these issues. It's a good idea that it is being part of this action plan that we have set for ourselves.
Interesting. You know, palpably missing in the stakeholder engagement, and you can pardon me because having gone through the policy document, so to speak, to acquaint myself with the content itself. But palpably missing is this, what I'll call, you know, key stakeholders like, say, not even the Minerals Commission, but, you know, our clergymen, our chiefs, our imams, and so on and so forth. I mean, have all of them been
yes, in fact,
in the document?
It's all in this document.
They're all
and
there.
if you look at the composition of the various structures I talk about at the various levels,
Okay.
we have representation
Okay.
of the Christian council rep, Muslim council rep,
Okay.
and we have the chiefs rep.
Okay.
And that translates down to the community level. And even at the community, the chiefs are part of it. In fact, to the extent that some chiefs have understood the child labor situation, and they are even able to educate their subjects within the locality.
Do you also intend to employ drama, for instance, or theater as a form of also conscientizing the people? Because they tend to understand that kind of language very well. I mean, because then you can talk about it, but when they see real life, I won't say real life scenario, but I'm talking about when it is acted. You know, because they don't joke with their concerts and their drama and so on.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the reasons why the Kiso party at the time was enacted was to also try and, you know, work on, how do you call it, our mindset and so on. I don't know if it's also it's been captured in this action plan.
It has.
Okay.
In fact, there are a lot of tools being developed.
Okay.
Some pictorial, some short videos.
Right.
To, you know, at the community level, sensitizations are done. And these videos and then pictures are shown to the public. And as you rightly put it, it's good when they watch a video, they're able to capture it well than the English we speak and then the Twi we try to explain.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes more than... Initially, there was denial.
Okay.
However, as time went on, we have been, you know, improving in terms of sensitization across the country. And like we are doing, I mean, people are going to be aware of this document.
I'm going to come back to you for you to tell me how you intend to track success. Because, you see, we're good at putting these policies together. We'll come back again 5 years and say it's not working. Then it means that something, I'm not saying that is what will happen, but there's that possibility.
Yes.
There's got to be a way for us to track whether this new plan, as we have it, is the panacea to dealing with this matter. And we don't have to wait till 5 years. If 2 years down the line we realize it's not working, we should be able to come back quickly and say, listen, we thought it was going to work based on certain hypotheses or assumptions that we made, but it's not working. Right. And so we need to quickly, you know, track back and do things differently. Do you want to get a point?
Yes, I have.
Especially because of what Ben is saying. What Ben is saying, for me, is very alarming. You know, because whilst we're trying to sack the older guys from sites, the younger ones are getting in there. Into your
it addresses it. So
exactly.
We'll
you know, so I'm going to come back to you on how do we intend to measure and track success, and whether that's also been captured in this document. Now, Dennis, look, I want you to tell me more. I mean, when we started the issue, we're talking to me about the fact that the Minerals Commission has actually been forced to create a desk because of a certain observation or a certain trend, which you have observed. I want you to tell me more about it. How bad, how serious is this that our children, more and more children, are now joining the galamsey business because they find it more economically lucrative?
Yeah. Thank you very much once again. Trust me, it's really bad.
Really?
That made me take personal interest in reading a program around it.
Okay.
And then doing a field work on how the children are thinking, actually.
See.
So I chose Adansi North, and It's alarming.
Why dancing north?
Well,
Because it's a typical Galamsey
yeah,
area?
and then I'd read
Quite a bit.
ILO's work
Okay.
around that place, so I
Right.
thought of, you know,
So ILO here, we're talking International Labour Organization.
yeah, exactly. So
For
I
people who
decided
may
to
not-
go into to know. First of all, I wanted to know the interventions they sent there
Okay.
at the time. How many communities have been able to stay away from Galamsey? I mean, the children withdrawn, because according to their reports, they were able to withdraw some children from the sites to school. And sad to say that, no, they
They've
are
gone
they are
back.
back. Yes, they've gone back, because poverty is really high.
Yeah, no.
I mean, parental neglect,
Yeah.
it's on the high. Like, most of the people in that community are single parents.
What age range are we looking at?
We are looking at for
4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
it's worse. It's okay. Let's say let me just figure it out. Between 7 up.
Between 7 years?
Yes, they are very busy. I mean, they are busy because these ones are smart. They wake up hungry. Some need to go to school, and there's no food to eat. So they look around. If their big brothers are going to a place, they follow up, and that is where it starts. So they observe as they do. And then when money comes, at least I get some to eat. I carry water around. I help out. So it's really alarming. It's going so fast.
Wow.
Very, very fast. And
Wow.
to the extent that some schools would have to negotiate with children on number of days to come to school.
Hey.
Yeah, so that they don't throw away their education. So they have it, but then they can survive. So they have a day out to go and to do the galamsey, get some money to run the rest of the days in school.
See.
Yeah, so it's forcing girls into early teenage pregnancy, which is actually, they are forced to.
In your research work,
Yeah.
did you interact with the parents, for instance?
Yes,
So
I
why are you
did.
making your kids do this?
I did.
What do they tell you?
Unemployment, poverty. Some have
But
too
are
many
they
children.
aware of the risk or the dangers associated with what the kids are doing? The parents are aware,
Yeah, they are, but
or some are simply ignorant.
some are. Most of them are aware, but they can't help it.
See,
For instance, a mother is into, let's say, yam frying business. Okay, so she borrows the yam.
Okay.
So she goes, and the yam is lent to her.
yes,
She comes, fries it. Don't forget the oil and stuff are all not. She has to borrow them.
yes.
She fries, and it's on credit too. Those
Right.
buying don't have the money. So how does she reimburse? How does she pay back? So loans upon loans, debts piling. So her children are in school. Some would have to. I know I met a senior high student who had to leave school because of hunger, come back home and do gala. And trust me, that landed her in serious health issues
Wow.
as a girl. So it's some of the children get hurts because of the tools they use at the site, like shovels and other things. And yet, because they can't look at their mothers or their little ones hungry, they are forced to drag their feet to the site every day to make it. So it's really, and from community to community, it's moving like wildfire. People, every day there are discoveries of new sites. They keep
Okay.
moving from one place to the other. So it's no joke.
It's a real systemic
It's
problem.
no joke.
I mean, tell me, child labor is supposed to be a crime, isn't it?
It is a crime.
Why aren't we arresting the parents of these kids who are forcing these kids, or anybody who is seen taking these kids to places they are not supposed to be when they're supposed to be in school? Is there a genuine difficulty? And I'm asking these questions because I want to know whether this plan deals with it.
Exactly.
You know, So if that's the case, I don't know what interaction you may have asked the parents that, do you know what you're doing is a crime and that you could actually be arrested and put behind bars or jailed, etc. When you ask them that question, what kind of feedback do you get? Do you get do you get a sense that they don't even know that it's a crime, or they know it's a crime, but we must eat?
Yeah, that's the word. The last part.
They know it's a crime.
They know it's a crime,
don't say,
but,
"Enye,"
but they must eat. They have
eat.
to survive. And for me, that is the push factor. The rate of poverty
I see.
and the death of it. And for some, is a matter of the mindset. Whether they were born by it, through development, they decide to accept the fact that, well, things might not change for them, or acquired, someone would say. One can't really tell, but maybe poverty, unemployment, and the fact that cocoa isn't doing so well in some of these communities. There are farms, I think because of the activities of galamsey and the mercury and the other chemicals being used, farmlands are not producing as much as they should.
Whoa.
There are issues there too. So a lot of them are not encouraged to go into farming these days.
Wow.
They would rather do gala. At least in a day, they will get 50 or 100 or 150. Others get 200 cedis a day.
You won't get that if you were growing, say, cocoa.
Exactly. That takes a while. So, I mean, the underpinning challenge is still there. It's still stretching. So
what it means is that this galamsey thing has actually far-reaching implications that we actually are seeing.
Trust me.
Because our kids are now up, on it, and we should be extremely worried.
We should be more worried, especially for the girls.
Yeah. Okay, why so?
A lot of them now are going into early family planning.
Hey.
Yes.
At 10, 11, 12,
exactly.
13.
There's no money. She needs to survive. She needs to go to school. So she does implanting, whatever names they give it, just so that they can sleep around, get money.
And not be pregnant.
Go to school. And not be pregnant, that's the word.
Who is giving them these injections? Shouldn't we be arresting them?
I mean, they are giving folic acids, to take every day in school. It's part of the what Ministry of Education promotes. So so they are aware that from a certain stage, I'm
could
ready
be
for
pregnant.
exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not supposed to
I've attained puberty.
Thank you. I'm not supposed to do it though, but Charlie, I'm hungry. Some may have to, enter into early relationship because of some of these issues. So if parents are not empowered, like right now, to have ideas to have wealth and take care of their children, trust me, it won't stop.
So it's about economic empowerment.
It is about.
But we're not going to do that. We're not going to get there now. I mean, yes,
it will take time.
There's LEAP.
And I think
the LEAP thing is
the LEAP thing. I think it favors some. If you have the right connections, it favors you.
Really?
Of course, if you know.
No, but I thought it's one amount. It's one amount of money to everybody. It's not. I mean, I don't think there's any differentiation.
No,
everybody gets the same amount.
I'm not even talking about differentiation.
Okay.
I'm talking about the how to get it.
Oh,
right, exactly. So is the how. I thought the amount. I'm sure.
Is that to suggest that even in the how do you call it, in the operationalization of LEAP, there are issues? There are issues.
Because when you were talking to them, a lot of them tried severally. They had to back off.
To access the LEAP.
Yes.
And they're not getting it.
Yes, they had to.
Meanwhile, there's probably somebody nearby who's getting it.
Who is
Question
getting
is,
it?
why this person and not me?
Exactly.
We have a problem. We have a problem. Does this document deal with some of these issues we're raising?
Yes.
Because I'm concerned that people are giving these injections to these kids.
You raise issues about M&E.
Yes.
And a concern that she's also raising in terms of people moving from
talking about
cocoa to
moral education.
Moving from cocoa sector to the mining sector.
Mining sector.
You would observe that is why the approach is integrated area based. This approach is tackling all forms of child labor in various sectors. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you're in cocoa, you are in mining. Once there's the entry into a community, you tackle all forms of child labor.
Okay.
So stakeholders are now aware, instead of focusing on cocoa. For example, let's say a CSO have gone into a community to undertake activities. They will not focus on cocoa farmers alone. They will focus on all the community, do sensitization, and whatever they want to do, they involve all the community members. Okay. So people will not have to move from farming in cocoa lands into mining. That is the approach, generally. Okay. But the M&E, yes, in fact, it's even also in the document, it's captured fully how we are going to track these activities. And we now have...
Oh, yeah, you're talking about monitoring and evaluation. That's what you mean by M&E.
Yes.
I was thinking about moral and something education.
Sorry, yes.
Sorry about that.
So the M&E component is to look at what is working.
Yes, and what is not working.
What is not working, how are we improving going forward.
Okay.
And so with partners, we have come out with indicators.
Okay.
And so for every year, we send out this template,
Okay.
and then they supply us with information as to what they have done.
Okay.
And some of these things, we can easily verify it
Yes.
when they send the information. We
Okay.
know the districts, we know the communities that they've worked in. And actually, we actually do some of this sporadic monitoring
Okay.
of their activities. And you can confirm that the information they are providing is correct.
Okay.
And so it's well taken care of
Fantastic.
in the action plan.
Right. What are the current statistics of children in child labor? I mean, for us to get a bigger picture and to appreciate why this is important, do you have any statistics to share?
With the statistics, in fact, the current one it did not directly deal with child labor directly,
Okay.
but it came out with children who are in economic activity. But child labor is more than that.
I get that.
In fact, children are allowed to do some form of work. It's contained in the Labor Act, right? You can, once you turn 15 years, you can go into full employment.
Yes.
But that work should not be any work that would affect you because you are still a child. But you can go into full work, full-time work. And so we are not saying children are not supposed to work, but they are not supposed to perform hazardous activities. And to this end, there's another document that is near completion, and we're talking about prosecuting people who put these children into. And based on ILO
Those who are both directly
Yes.
and indirectly involved
yes, because
in the practice of this menace.
yes, we are supposed to criminalize some of the activities in our hazardous activity framework, which is currently being.
The Ages Department?
AG, I think they have looked at it and then given their recommendation as to the way forward.
Okay.
And so, for now, the minister is having a look at it, and I can bet our minister will look at each word, word by word, comma and full stop. He will look at everything to make sure that everything is on point before he approves of it. And so that's the stage we are now.
Okay.
And I'm sure very soon it might be out, and then we can
Tell me,
use it.
Isa, are we doing all this because we want to totally eliminate child labor or forced labor? And is that possible? Is that achievable? Or we're doing this because we want to bring it down to its barest minimum? What do we want to do?
Okay, you cannot have total eradication.
It's not possible.
That is not what we are saying.
Okay.
But
We
you
want to
can
make
bring
it
it.
unattractive.
You can bring it to the barest minimum.
Okay.
And the focus of this document is looking at that, so that there will be structures in place that can deal with it when it comes up.
Okay.
Because you can't have zero child labor. No,
It's not possible.
it's not possible, because we are growing each day, we are giving birth and all these things, and you cannot say poverty is.
And we're becoming poorer.
Yes, and you can't say poverty has ended. And so you should have structures in place to be able to deal with it as soon as it comes up.
See.
And that is the main focus. That will bring the numbers down and then let people be aware of it, and then how they can approach the whole process of the elimination.
I get it. Are we looking at child labor? Well, let me put it this way. Is child labor as difficult to fight as we're fighting Galamsey? And I'm asking this question within a setting. I'm looking at it this way. We are saying that one of the reasons why people engage in Galamsey is because they don't have money. People are poor. Never mind, there are some who are doing it because they want, because some the people are doing it out of greed. But mainly, it's about survival. It's about lives and livelihoods. And so, despite efforts that have been made in the past 20-something years or the past 30-something years to do with Galamsey, we're still struggling with it because people are saying that until and unless we empower our people economically and find alternative source of income or livelihood for them, they will continue to play hide and seek with us. Are we likely to face the same problem with this child labor issue? Because, like she said, bottom line is that people are poor and people have to survive. So I don't know how this action plan can deal with it in a manner that you can sit back and say, well, even though people don't have money or people are poor, this action plan, to a very large extent, would disincentivize and discourage and demotivate people from doing child labor.
Yes.
I don't want to get a point I'm making.
Yeah.
Because bottom line says, so we can come up with all the plans, but come with your mind, they will always find different ways of engaging in this child labor thing. I don't know whether in formulating this policy, these thoughts,
Yeah,
came up.
Because one of the main causes of child labor is poverty.
It's poverty, yes.
And if you look at the dynamics, apart from poverty, some people are just in denial. And once they are sensitized, they come to a realization that, no, okay, I think I'm not doing the right things. They need to change.
Yes.
That's the focus. That is why we said we are accelerating.
When the hunger strikes like thunder, no, they forget the advice.
Yes, they forget. But, those that have been listening to our messages, they tend to accept it because they think that they have gone through it and it's a normal situation. However, we have diffused their mind. I mean, some of them.
That is not normal.
That it is not just normal.
Okay.
We have all gone through some form of acquiring basic skills, but not to the extent of how some parents but mostly, in most cases, real, biological parents or biological, let's say parents do not put their biological children in
through this
some of these
activities.
Yes, they don't. Mostly they are children of other people that are staying with them that they put into this. And most of them, they have their kids in cities attending school.
Right.
But you would have people who migrate to, let's say, from the northern side to the southern sector to work.
Okay.
And they find themselves in these cocoa farms. These are migrants, and they are very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yes, and so they take whatever is given them, not knowing.
Would you describe a Kayaye girl who is probably not 15 years old and yet goes around carrying all this makola and so on?
Heavy
Would you
loads.
describe them as, is that another form of child labor?
Yes, it is. Heavy loads.
Except that we're saying it's more predominant in the cocoa sector until now that it's prominent in the mining sector. Anyway, Jennifer, your final words in just a minute. So where do we go from here?
Before I take that word,
Yes.
I want to say that the team set up by the Honorable Minister of Employment and Labor, it's fantastic.
Right.
Having worked with them over the years, this time, this document is going to work because they are collaborating with all the stakeholders, all the partners and donors, and everybody is on board. And particularly for me and for the extractive sector is the fact that anyone who enters any community looks at all the other various aspects of child labor, not just cocoa.
Okay.
Good. So, well, for me, I think it's possible. This fight,
it's achievable
because we have a goal.
Okay.
I mean,
you're working towards it.
SDG 8. Exactly.
8.7.
Okay. That says that by 2025, we should work as
so we don't have any option.
We don't. We have
it has to work.
It's possible. You and I can do that.
All right. Thank you. And we've just started it by engaging in this public sensitization and public education. Thank you so very much. Isa Mushin, he's a principal labor officer, Labor Department of the Ministry of Employment and Labor, and also Bernice Butchie. She's a senior officer, Gender and International Affairs, Minerals Commission. My name is Aldo Moro. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon, Ghana. Bye-bye.